Number 10. Salem 7. The Salem 7 is a group of magic users and magical children who are the direct offspring of Nicholas Scratch, Agatha Harkness's son. Although they aren't children while they're on the team. They were children once though, weren't we all? They were each fathered by different mothers, and the Ultimate Universe version of them has the added ability of being able to join together in one form and become the Dragon of Seven. In that universe and that form, they end up fighting against the Fantastic Four despite initially appearing to be a superhero team themselves in that incarnation. The Salem 7 in the 616 universe, however, were a team assembled by their father and used to get revenge on his own mother, Agatha, and their grandmother for leaving the magical community of New Salem, and for her giving up their magical secrets to the Fantastic Four, a crime Nicholas Scratch falsely accused his mother of. On Earth 616, the team is made up of the members of Bruticus, Hydron, Gazelle, Reptilla, Thorn, Vertigo, and Vacuum, a combination of Nicholas's sons and his daughters. Number 9. Elsa Bloodstone. Elsa isn't exactly a witch, but she's definitely witch adjacent, as a good amount of her power is magical in nature, coming from the blood gem she possesses, and is often shown wearing in her bloodstone choker. Aside from that, Elsa will also sometimes carry and wield magical artifacts and books as weapons, in addition to her standard fare of very large guns, which is what you'll usually see her fighting with. Her blood gem gives her magical abilities to heal, cure vampirism, and even allows her to fire magical energy blasts from her hands at times. Number 8. CALYPSO. CALYPSO was Kraven's voodoo priestess ally who would often help to fuel his hatred for Spider-Man. A Spider-Man villain herself, she also almost succeeded in killing Spider-Man once while teamed up with another famous Spider-Man villain, the Lizard. Obsessed with power, CALYPSO also ruthlessly sacrificed her younger sister to get more of it. Her other aliases that she was sometimes referred to as in the comics are the Witch and Hunter of Souls, revealing just how dangerous and magical she is. CALYPSO made only a few appearances before she appeared to meet her grisly end in the late 90s. Her power usually came from her knowledge of voodoo practices, which allowed her to create potent charms and potions that she could use to bewitch others, and even resurrect the dead. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, just a quick reminder to give this video a thumbs up if you are enjoying it. It really does help us out here at the channel. Number 7. Pixie. Megan Gwyn is the mutant known as Pixie. Pixie has innate magical abilities, but also possesses a certain amount of dark magical ability as well. Megan received the dark magic within her after Magik in her Dark Child persona attempted to use Pixie's soul, one of the most innocent and pure of her victims at the time, to create a new soul sword. The process, fortunately, was interrupted before it could be completed, instead granting Pixie her own magical soul dagger and leaving a bit of black magic within her in place of the part of her soul that was displaced and used to create that dagger in the process. Pixie has received some tutelage in the mystical arts from Amanda Sefton and Doctor Strange, and was even at one point considered as a potential candidate for the role of Sorcerer Supreme. True story. Number 6. Talisman. Elizabeth II Youngman is the daughter of Dr. Michael II Youngman, aka the hero and mystical healer Shaman, known for his affiliation with Alpha Flight. In time, Elizabeth herself would also join the Alpha Flight team alongside her father. Prior to that, however, for many years Elizabeth was actually estranged from her father, following the death of her mother, which she blamed him for. Being a doctor, Michael had tried desperately to save his wife's life, but ultimately he failed. He also would carry the guilt of her death, blaming himself besides. Liz wields the Talisman of Power, which grants her many mystical abilities, though even without the talisman, she can still manipulate magical energy that is directed at her. With the talisman, Elizabeth can cast all manner of spells, having access to the wealth of Earth's vast mystical energies, and being able to tap directly into that energy to use it as her own source for casting. Number 5. Clea. Clea is known for being the student and lover of Doctor Strange. She is the daughter of the strange villain Umar and the niece of powerful villain Dormammu. Although she appears human, she herself is related to the Faltine race, beings of pure magical energy, and the Muruks. I don't know how to say that. Muruks? Two U's. How do you say two U's together? and the Maruks, extra-dimensional beings gifted in magic who hail from the Dark Dimension. Clea is the Sorceress Supreme of the Dark Dimension, which tells you just the level of magic we are talking about when it comes to her abilities. It's believed that she is at the same level as Doctor Strange when it comes to what she's capable of. We've seen her cast magical bolts of lightning, teleport, control other people's minds, create powerful and realistic illusions, summon objects, and exhibit telekinetic powers. Number 4. Satana. Satana is the sister of Daimon HELLSTROM and daughter of Satan, or so the rumor goes. Of course, we don't really know for sure if her and Daimon's father is the true devil, as a lot of powerful demonic beings in the Marvel Universe have made such claims before. Even as a little girl, Satana was drawn to the arcane arts. She was caught performing a black magic ritual with her father at a young age, and it was this revelation as to her husband's true identity and form that drove Satana's mother insane, because she kind of stumbled upon them doing that ritual and then she was like, oh dear. Satana is a succubus and as such possesses great magical abilities and beauty, but beyond that she also seems to demonstrate some knowledge of magic, which allows her to cast spells, summon creatures, and manipulate the mind and will of others. In a fight against the powerful magic user Dr. Doom even, she proved to be a formidable foe. Number 3. Selene GALLIO. Selene GALLIO has the added bonus of years of experience when it comes to her own knowledge in the dark arts. During ancient times, she was revered by other powerful magic users and even caused a sense of trepidation among them for what she might do or be capable of. The only thing with Selene is that she has so many mutant abilities and is considered so powerful in that realm as well. It's kind of hard to tell which feats are owed to her magical abilities and which are accomplished through her use of her mutant powers. Regardless, her being a member of the mutant external group, not to be confused with Eternals, that's a different thing, means that she also has added power, causing her to be a powerful psychic vampire capable of draining life from even the most powerful of foes, a powerful telekinetic and telepath, and making her virtually immortal in most cases. At the same time that Pixie was considered as a potential candidate for Sorcerer Supreme, so was Selene. Number 2. Karnilla. Among Asgardians, and definitely among Nornheim Asgardians, Karnilla is one of the most powerful magic users around. Her power is only said to be surpassed by Odin himself. Karnilla's age and origins are a mystery. That is just how old she's believed to be. We don't know how long she lived in the Asgardian province of Nornheim, only that it seems as though she had been there forever. More recently in the comics, Karnilla took up the title of Queen of Hell when she married Hela, adding that to her long list of titles, which has also included Mistress of Magic, Queen of Enchantment, Enchantress Supreme, and Queen of Norns. Not only does she have extensive knowledge of spells and the arcane, but she also has innate magical ability, which allows her to manipulate magical energy on another level in comparison to others. Number 1. Opal Luna Saturnine. Don't let her similar appearance to Emma Frost in the Ten of Swords event fool you. Saturnine is a powerhouse all of her own, completely separate from the White Queen. Instead, Saturnine's aliases and titles include the most majestic Omniversal Magistrix, her Royal Highness, and the White Witch. Recently, Opal Luna Saturnine was the one to preside over the Otherworld tournament, pitting the mutants of Krakoa against the mutants of Araco, in a battle that would determine who should win the rights to the mutant nation of Earth, with both mutant groups having a solid claim to Krakoa. Saturnine possesses immense power in her role as Omniversal Guardian, granting her ability to warp and shape reality at her will, as demonstrated throughout the Ten of Swords event. She is mortal, but is so skilled in manipulation that she could twist your perspective to the point that you would no longer see the point in attempting to kill her. We saw that happen with Wolverine, and it was pretty scary. Number 10. Daimon HELLSTROM. While Daimon HELLSTROM is not one of the most powerful of the most powerful wizards in the Marvel Universe, since obviously he's our 10 spot, and is often considered as being more supernatural than magical in origin, he does have access to immense power through his lineage. Daimon HELLSTROM, or HELLSTORM, depending on his mood and his dominant persona, is believed to be the son of Satan and as such is a Prince of Hell, or the Prince of Hell, depending on what you believe. In reality, he more likely ends up as a ruler of a Hell dimension as opposed to the Hell dimension, as Nightcrawler and Magik are also supernatural and magical mutant based characters who are also tied to their own different Hell dimensions. Basically, there's a lot of Hell dimensions, so yes. While Daimon has access to immense magical power, he ranked lower on this list because he doesn't have as much training with kinda how to use it, and actually is often pictured as actively fighting to resist utilizing his inheritance and the magical power that comes with it. Number 9. 9. Belasco. Some may think of Belasco as more of a demon or like a creature than a human wizard, but before he became one of the lords of hell and ruler of the dimension known as Limbo, he was a sorcerer himself. He ended up using dark magic to gain immortality and his demonic appearance, as well as the ability to move into other dimensions. He made a deal with those referred to as elder gods, though they may have actually been interdimensional demons or hell lords themselves, and not actual elder gods. In the end, he became a powerful magical user and of course a demon who would go on to kidnap and train the young mutant Magik. He also was a big creep, and Magik would end up escaping and later defeating Belasco, but he also was one of the people who helped to train her, so hey, there's that. Magik is pretty powerful, so part of that I think comes from Belasco, even though that's super traumatic, I'm sure, for her to go back to. Alright friends, before we move on to this next spot, just a quick reminder to give this video a thumbs up if you are enjoying it and you want to learn more about all of the cool magical stuff in Marvel. Number 8. Ancient One. The Ancient One is of course notable in both the main continuity of Earth 616 and the Marvel Cinematic Universe for being a powerful magic user. While in the MCU, the Ancient One is played by a woman with ties to ancient Gaelic magical energies. In the comics, the Ancient One is also known by the name Yao and is an elderly Tibetan man. He was the Sorcerer Supreme before Doctor Strange, and as such could be considered less powerful than his pupil as it currently stands now in the comics. I mean, Doctor Strange I think is definitely more powerful than him now because I'm pretty sure Yao is dead, although I think he still does make appearances from time to time. He's still got like magical energies around. You know how it is when you're a magic user and you die but you still kind of exist, you know what I'm talking about. Though for a good many years it was also Stephen Strange who stood in amazement of his master and teacher, the Ancient One, his powers, and his abilities. Number 7. Baron Mordo. Baron Mordo is one of the most powerful dark magic wizards around. He's often known for being one of the main arch enemies of Sorcerer Supreme Doctor Strange. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we were introduced to him in the film Doctor Strange, where we saw him first introduced as an ally to our hero, who later became jealous of Strange's power and ultimately believed that there were too many magic users out there abusing that power who needed to be stopped, turning him into a future antagonist who we can expect to see pop up at some point, I assume, in the sequel film Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. In the comics, Baron Mordo, or Karl Mordo's, goal is much more inherently sinister. He seeks to dominate and conquer the world with his dark magic after the death of his father at the hands of his mother and grandfather. He took his father's goal to the next level, by the way. His dad had desired to return Transylvania, his homeland, to its former glory. But Baron Mordo wants more than just that. He wants the whole world and as much power as possible. Number 6. Loki. There was a time in comics where Loki was believed to be even more powerful than Doctor Strange when it came to his power levels, and that was during his brief stint as Sorcerer Supreme in Jason Aaron's run. Of course, it would later be revealed that Loki used tricks to convince Strange to give up the title and all of his artifacts with it, but still, fans of the character were ready to cheer on the new Sorcerer Supreme, even if it was only temporary. Beyond that, Loki has always been recognized as one of the most powerful magical forces in the Marvel Universe, capable of pulling off all kinds of elaborate tricks and illusions to get what he wants, and sometimes even just to mess with people. My favorite is when he doesn't really want anything. He's like, I just wanted to mess with you, it's fun. Number 5. Wiccan. Wiccan is the reincarnated son of Scarlet Witch, and obviously because of that has immense power. Many anticipate that in the future we could see him take over as Sorcerer Supreme, and likely even exceed the potential of Doctor Strange's magical abilities, becoming an even more powerful magic user than his predecessor. Fun fact actually, did you know that every Sorcerer Supreme successor is believed to be more powerful than those to have come before them? The only problem with Billy is that he could still use more training and experience, but every year that he continues to adventure out in the world of comics is another step closer to becoming possibly the new Sorcerer Supreme. His powers are similar to his mother's. He can warp reality like she can, but must speak what he wants to happen for it to happen. However, he also has some reactive abilities that do not really need an incantation or casting for them to happen, such as creating magical shields or force fields. Number 4. Doctor Doom. You know how much I am always hankering to to talk about everyone's favorite, I think, definitely one of my favorites, Dr. Doom. While Dr. Doom is more often recognized for his brilliant mind, it should also be acknowledged that he is a very powerful wizard as well, and a very dangerous one, considering that there is much that Doom is willing to risk in order to gain more power. At one point, he also becomes one of the most powerful wizards in all of Marvel, albeit briefly, when he takes on the power of Scarlet Witch. In fact, he becomes so powerful that it becomes too much for him, almost killing him before the powers end up being returned to Wanda. Number 3. Brother Voodoo. Based on what I said about inheriting the title of Sorcerer Supreme, Brother Voodoo should be one of the strongest magic users out there, as he was Sorcerer Supreme for a time after Doctor Strange, or in between Doctor Strange's time. But at the end of the day, he was more marked as second in line to the title after Strange was deemed too corrupted basically to still hold it. Still, this means Jericho Drumm is on the level with or kinda just behind Doctor Strange in terms of his magical skills, which is still pretty impressive. Brother Voodoo has even bested the powerful Doctor Doom in combat, who is considered pretty powerful when it comes to his intellectual and spiritual combination of science and magic. Brother Voodoo can teleport long distances using magic and is extremely powerful when it comes to manipulating or communing with spirits and to controlling various life forms. He is also known for his necromancy skills. Yeah, he doesn't just control the living, he can also control the dead, and he has access to not just his own magical knowledge and abilities, but that of his brother as well, whose spirit is bound to him. Number 2. Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is widely regarded as one of the most powerful magic users in all of comics, let alone within the Marvel Universe itself. He is a formidable wizard who also has expanded knowledge not just of the magic of Earth, but also that of the cosmos. Even in recent years, when he has been without magic of his own, he has proven just how truly powerful he is, managing to still accomplish grand feats even while at his weakest. Recently in the comics, we got to revel in the epicness that is Doctor Strange as we watched him ascend to basically god level in the fight against Null. However, this power surge did end up being short-lived, as someone perhaps a little unexpected was waiting just around the corner to zap him of these newly inherited powers. Number 1. Donald Blake. Since Donald Blake has become his own being separate from Thor and has returned in the comics, he has been a force to be reckoned with and reasonably feared. Donald Blake originally was the alter ego of Thor Odinson during his various times on Earth, where he did not remember his true origins but merely believed he was a human. Odin made this so to teach his son humility. In the end, Thor would remember who he was but continue on living as Dr. Donald Blake and splitting his time between both the identities of Thor and Blake, as well as Asgard and Earth for a time. After all this, however, Donald Blake was for a while trapped in a fake existence, which he believed was real, but after the illusion was lifted, he ended up breaking out of his prison, hell-bent on a mission of revenge. Basically, he had asked Thor for help, and Thor never answered him, so he was pretty upset about that. He aimed to eliminate every Thor in the universe for what had been done to him, and as a being created of the Odin Force, found himself able to absorb the magical powers of all of those connected to Odin and Asgard, which is how he became such a powerful magic user in the comics, in a fight against the Asgardian empowered Doctor Strange. So you can imagine how that went down. He was like, oh, I see your powers, oh, taking that. Now I'm crazy powerful. Yikes. Before we wrap up, let's turn to my honorary mention for this list, Mephisto. Mephisto is not a typical wizard, being the fact that he is also kind of a constant in the Marvel Universe, possibly the devil and definitely a demon. But still, he uses magic, battles against various magic users, and is often quite good at it. Often he uses magical contracts to defeat and ensnare his foes and his victims. Mephisto has demonstrated the power to alter reality, ensnare souls, manipulate others' powers and memories, create powerful illusions, bring back the dead, and even create new life forms. Basically, he is one of the most OP villains out there in the comics, who often uses magic to enact his dastardly plots. So, not entirely a wizard, but at the very least wizard adjacent, I would say. Number 10. Black Widow. No, not that Black Widow. Natasha is sadly not a magical super spy, though that is a comic I would read. Clairvoyant is the version of the character we are talking about here. Clairvoyant was Marvel's Black Widow prior to Natasha. In fact, Claire first appeared in 1940 in the comics, while Natasha wouldn't make her first appearance until 1964. before. Initially, Madame Clairvoyant was a psychic-based mystic who could communicate with the dead, a medium if you will. She herself, however, would end up dead, and it would be then that she would be resurrected with superpowers by someone who claimed to be Satan himself. She set out to claim the souls of evildoers and deliver them to her master. In exchange, as Satan's ambassador, she was supposedly made immortal and given supernatural powers, which allowed her to teleport to the Hell dimension, granted her super strength and endurance, her death touch, the ability to heal, fly, turn invisible, and shapeshift. Pretty powerful magics, especially if they actually came from the real Satan himself. Number 9. Freya Freyrdottir. While you might not think of Thor's mother as being a witch in comparison to her role as the All-Mother, it has been established before in the comics that Freya is capable of accomplishing magical feats. We don't yet know the range of her abilities when it comes to her magical power, but she is also a very powerful Asgardian and skilled warrior. So she also gets additional power when it comes to that. We have seen her able to seemingly wield magic, however, when it comes to creating shields and teleportation, but it's unknown what level of spellcaster she might be. Should the comics want to expand on this point, I would not be surprised if we learned that she was much more powerful when it came to her magical abilities than we give her credit for here. And there's lots of pictures of her doing some magic. Alright friends, before we move on to this next spot, just a quick reminder to give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying it, and I don't know, maybe subscribe if you haven't yet. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? We've been around for a while, come on, hit that subscribe for me. Number 8. Jennifer Kale. Jennifer Kale is an ally of the Man-Thing and is a descendant of the cult of Zered-Nab. Her grandfather, in fact, was still a leader of the cult when she was just a teenager. Wanting to experiment with witchcraft, Jennifer Kale used one of her grandfather's old books to do so. This unleashed a demon, which Man-Thing saved her from, creating a psychic link between Jennifer and Man-Thing. She would later be given powers by an ancient wizard who recruited her to help him defeat demons who were coming to conquer Earth after the Tome of Zered-Nab seemingly disappeared. Jennifer's powers allow her to cast spells with a mere thought. She not only calls on power from within herself, but can also tap into the power of ambient magical energy within the universe and use it, as well as energy from other dimensions. Her powers grant her many abilities, including the ability to teleport, create magical shields, summon bolts, and manipulate the minds of others. Number 7. Amanda Sefton. Amanda Sefton was originally known as Jemaine. She comes from the family that took in Nightcrawler and raised him among their own children. As such, Amanda is basically like Nightcrawler's adopted sister. After the death of their brother Stefan, Amanda's mother, Margali, believed Nightcrawler was to blame. Jemaine then traveled to America to find out for herself and changed her name to Amanda Sefton, going undercover as a flight attendant and dating Nightcrawler in order to learn more. Pretty weird that the two dated in my books, cause yeah, they are siblings, even if Nightcrawler's her adopted brother. Still weird, but yeah, it happened. She would end up working alongside the X-Men for a time and even rule Limbo under the mantle of Magik herself. She's also been known as Day Tripper before in the comics, so you might know her by that name. Amanda's powers allow her to magically heal, teleport, summon magical bolts, create illusions, alter her appearance, and hypnotize others, as well as cast a good number of other spells with different effects. So yeah, she can do a lot of things. Most magical people, I love listing their powers because like what can't they do is more the question. Number 6. NICO Minoru. NICO is a member and the leader of the Runaways. She initially was raised by her parents, who were revealed to be part of a dark magic cult. Both her parents were dark wizards and attempted to chase NICO down after she attempted to run away from them after learning of their secret. During this altercation, she redeemed the Staff of One, which became embedded within her and now grants her magical abilities. NICO casts spells by remembering painful memories and using incantations. However, once she has cast a spell, she can never cast the same one again. Attempting to do so will result in a random effect as opposed to the same effect that happened when she cast that spell the first time. NICO's magic is based in the world of blood magic, and she often relies on the Staff of One to help her cast grander spells. Number 5. Magik. Magik is obviously one of the most powerful magic users out there. A few times it's been implied and even shown in the comics that Magik has the potential to become the new Sorcerer Supreme because of how powerful she is and how much potential she has. And if you're battling her while she is in Limbo, watch out because she will be even more powerful there. Magik's power is tied to that realm, and while in Limbo, all that she is capable of becomes basically limitless. Of course, outside of Limbo, magic is less powerful, but even then she is still capable of kicking most people's butts. Even at a lower power level, she's still a powerhouse. And if her Dark Child persona gets unleashed, then you have even more to be afraid of when it comes to what magic can do and what she'll want to do, because Dark Child is scary. Number 4. Enchantress. Amora the Enchantress is from Asgard and is known for being one of the most powerful magic users within that realm. She is often the enemy of Thor, seeking to destroy him, but is also sometimes his lover, depending on the story. In fact, in many stories, it's kind of the ire or rejection that she has felt as his lover, or of being his lover, that has inspired her hate for him. And other times, she is simply his enemy because she seeks to claim his heart for herself. So she's like, I will get that Thor and I'll make him love me. Wahaha. Enchantress is capable of using her magics to complete many great feats, and she also has the added power of Asgardian physiology as well, which keeps her almost eternally youthful and grants her increased strength, speed, and endurance. Number 3. Agatha Harkness. One of the most powerful witches around is Wanda's mentor in the comics, Agatha Harkness. Agatha Harkness is much more tough and capable than her frail appearance might lead you to believe. But not only that, she is also way older than she looks. Like, she looks like an elderly lady, but she's really old. It's been revealed that Agatha remembers a time when the sunken city of Atlantis was still above sea level, so she's not just elderly, she's ancient. With all those years of existence comes a ton of experience that Agatha has often put to good use while working as an ally with various heroes and magic users to protect that which she considers to be worthy of protection in the comics. This makes her less a hero or a villain, but more a powerful ally when she wants to be in regards to multiple different causes. However, she usually is concerned with protecting those she cares about and also preventing any apocalyptic events from coming to pass. Number 2. Scarlet Witch. Wanda is one of the most powerful witches out there. While she was trained by Agatha, I would wager at this point that she has far surpassed her mentor, in terms of what she's capable of at least. In fact, she must have, because she did at one point successfully kill Agatha after she learned the truth of what had happened to her twin boys. So unless Agatha let this happen because she felt Wanda deserved revenge, I guess, her death does imply that Wanda is ultimately more powerful and more deadly. The Scarlet Witch is immensely powerful, so powerful in fact that her suffering a mental breakdown caused her fellow colleagues and heroes to consider killing her because they were so frightened of the destruction her powers, emotionally charged and untethered, could cause. We have seen Wanda change all of reality, flip the alignment of many of Earth's heroes and villains, and defeat the Phoenix Force, banishing it. For a while at least. Even though her spells and rituals don't work out exactly as she planned most of the time, you cannot deny the power that is Scarlet Witch. Number 1. Morgan Le Fay. While Morgan Le Fay is one of the baddest baddies out there, she still happens to be super duper powerful, which is pretty surprising considering she's you know, one of the bad guys, so they don't normally win most of the time. Considering the ranking for Merlin on my part 2 of most powerful wizards, it makes sense that Morgan takes our number 1 spot here, as she was once a student of Merlin himself. She is believed to be the most powerful witch and one of the most powerful magic users in the world. Not only that, but she was even considered a possible replacement for Doctor Strange as Earth's Sorcerer Supreme, which would be kinda terrifying, but very interesting to read. Morgan can not only warp reality, but also has a lot more control over how she does it, which is something that Wanda's still working on. She also has extensive knowledge when it comes to all different kinds of magic and has taken on some of Earth's mightiest heroes and villains and won against them. She is capable of time travel, can control the dead, bring others back to life, bring herself back to life even, imbue other beings with power, shapeshift, transmute, and teleport. She is crazy powerful. So powerful, it's scary. Number 10. Forge. While Forge is thought of as a mutant first, he also has magical abilities. We don't see him use them as much as his technological powers and intellect, but he is known as a man of both mysticism and science. Forge is a shaman and has mystical abilities and powers which allow him to cast spells, transport himself and others to alternate dimensions, and he can even manipulate and use the souls of others. He is also able to access his spirit or astral form and leave his body to walk among the astral plane. At one point in the comics, Forge's all-around powers were even acknowledged as being beyond comprehension when it came to what he was capable of, and he was even referred to in a way that hinted he could be on the level of a Sorcerer Supreme. Ooh, with his base being described as his Sanctum Sanctorum. Unless that's just like a thing we do for magic users, like everyone has a Sanctum Sanctorum. But I've only ever heard it used for Sorcerer Supreme, so I'm gonna assume that that's like a thing. Number 9. Captain Britain. What is it with magic users and being doctors? Although Captain Britain isn't thought of as a direct wizard, it should be noted that he is very magical, with his powers being heavily tied to Otherworld and the world of mysticism. While Brian Braddock isn't a medical doctor, he does have his PhD in physics, which he received from Thames University, giving him the title of Doctor. Captain Britain's powers themselves came directly from another powerful magic user of Otherworld, Merlin, and his daughter Roma. They offered him a choice between the Amulet of Right and the Sword of Might. Although you might think of Brian as a powerful warrior, he actually sees himself as more of a scholar, which is why he reached for the Amulet of Right, transforming him into the superhero Captain Britain. While he doesn't cast spells, his powers are magical in origin and grant him the ability to travel to alternate dimensions such as Otherworld. And before we move on to our next spot, just a quick reminder to give this list a thumbs up. It really does help us out here at the channel, and if you're not subscribed yet, why not do that too? Number 8. Dr. Druid. Dr. Druid was actually a student of the Ancient Ones and was known as being a pretty accomplished one at that before Stephen Strange came along. Dr. Druid himself is also a medical professional like Strange and would become a hero who would eventually serve on the Avengers, although he'd later become a villain and eventually end up disgraced because of his villainous actions. Yikes. He initially was a psychiatrist, earning his MD and getting a degree in psychology from Harvard University. Initially fascinated by druidic magic, Dr. Druid is knowledgeable in both Celtic rituals as well as various kinds of mysticism. Number 7. Magic. While Magic is female, she could still be considered a wizard or sorcerer, if you will, if a possible future came to pass. One that many anticipate will be Magic's eventual true future. In fact, there have been a few alternate futures where Magic becomes Sorcerer Supreme, one of the most celebrated being the alternate reality of Earth 18133, where Magic becomes Stephen Strange's apprentice after escaping Velasco. You can read this version of events in What If Magic from 2018, but there have also been other glimpses into this potential future as recently as last year with the story Doctor Strange: The End. Also, fun fact, men can sometimes be witches, like DC's Clarion the Witch Boy, and women can also sometimes be wizards, like Magic in this case. Number 6. Shaman. Shaman is Dr. Michael II Youngman, an indigenous man who is descended from a long line of Sarsi mystics. Initially, Michael was a surgeon, but after he was unable to save his sick wife and she died, he ended up finally embracing his spiritual side. He learned from the spirit of his grandfather and became a powerful sorcerer capable of many different feats, and would eventually join up with Canadian superhero team Alpha Flight. Shaman can use his abilities to heal, create illusions, control plants, time travel, fly, and communicate with spirits and animals, in addition to linking to other humans' minds. Not only is he gifted with magic, but he also is believed to be one of the most gifted and talented surgeons in all of Canada, so his medical skills can also be quite useful in deadly situations. Number 5. Dormammu. Dormammu isn't so much a person as he is a magical entity made up of energy, but still, he's more like a person in the comics than his MCU version made him out to be. He's not just like a disembodied head, usually. And at the very least, he's person-shaped. Regardless of the fact that he's not human, Dormammu is still considered a powerful magic user, and I think he identifies as male. That's how Dormammu is usually referred to anyways. He, him. Dormammu has been around for possibly millennia, and as such is one of the most gifted, talented, and powerful magic users around. His powers are epic and great, but his weakness is that he relies on energy from his dimension to ensure that he remains strong. So being outside of the dark dimension or having it shut off from him greatly affects the level of his power. Especially if, you know, he's outside of the dark dimension. In the dark dimension though, yikes, not someone you'd want to fight. Number 4. Agamotto. Agamotto is the wizard who created such powerful magical artifacts as the Orb of Agamotto, the Book of Vishanti, and the Eye of Agamotto, some of which you may recognize. Thanks to the Doctor Strange film, in fact, I believe almost everyone would recognize the Eye of Agamotto, and hence the name of this sorcerer anywhere. Agamotto was the Sorcerer Supreme way back, and even worked alongside as part of the the team of Avengers in the Stone Age. Initially, Agamotto was an accomplished hero in history, but he would later return as a determined villain after believing both Doctor Strange and later Dr. Voodoo were both insults to the title. He returned to the Earth as a powerful spirit and attempted to invade it with demons. True story. Also, not a great look for someone who used to be a hero. Number 3. Sisseneg. Sisseneg is a character who has only appeared in a few comic issues, and who first debuted in Marvel Premiere issue 13 in 1974. Also, I worked really hard to think about how to say his name, so I hope I got it right. His name is actually Genesis backwards, which was how I thought of how to say it. He has been known by a few other names throughout time, such as Genesis and Cagliostro, but he was originally a sorcerer from the 31st century who perfected his own mode and way of traveling through time without causing paradoxes that would erase his existence. Pretty impressive and useful. His plan was to travel back through history and become a more powerful wizard, as in his time period it was known that magic was finite, and while man in the future possessed it, no one person possessed an exorbitant amount of magical power. Hence, Sisseneg would travel backwards in time, absorbing the magic of others to add to his own power. Mwahaha. Number 2. Adam Warlock. Well, you might think of Adam Warlock as being more of a cosmic hero. I know I do, and he is. He also manages to blend the worlds of space and magic together. His magical abilities were actually created by his own self and his own will. After being resurrected, he acquired a power referred to as quantum magic, which allows him to repurpose surrounding cosmic energy or metaphysical quantum energy to perform magical feats. Using quantum magic, Adam Warlock is able to perform spells which allow him to heal, summon magical lightning, create force fields, create powerful and realistic illusions, and even manipulate time. Pretty impressive, especially for a hero who is often dubbed more cosmic than magical in origins. His powers really do put the Warlock in his name, Adam Warlock. Number 1. Merlin. Merlin was once the Sorcerer Supreme, but is now known as one of the main beings of Otherworld, and in fact the version of him who resides there is believed to know of not only events across the multiverse, but also the alternate versions of himself that reside on alternate Earths across alternate timelines. His powers are as vast as the many different feats he has claimed to have accomplished. If anything, his power could be measured by those he taught, such as the immensely powerful Morgan Le Fay. The artifacts he carries around also carry considerable power and include the Book of Skelos and the Stones of Merlin. He also typically is seen with a cone-shaped hat and, of course, a staff. After all, what would a powerful wizard be without their trusty and true fancy stick? Gotta have a fancy stick.